Hello everyone, and welcome again to our today's event. Let me start by sharing my screen very fast. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you also, Hamza, for your time and for being here today with us. So let me give you all a quick overview about SHA and what we are trying to do and what we want to achieve. So Social Hackers Academy started back in 2017 with an offline model. Our students were studying on site, and then with the pandemic, we switched to the online model, and that allowed us to serve more people around the world. So we are teaching full stack web development right now. Our career track is 7 months long. So 6 months of studying, live sessions, practice, and so on. And 1 final month for the final, and 1 month for the final project. We are launching soon also the blockchain career track by October. And lately we started a collaboration with Amazon Web Service. We are collaborating with them and teaching the Cloud Practitioner certificate. So yeah, mainly our target group, we are trying to help people that belong to vulnerable groups like migrants, refugee, asylum seekers, and unemployed by providing them with scholarships. So that's in a nutshell what we do. And we are running 2 events per month. And today we are glad to have Hamza with us to talk about web scraping with Node.js, at least an introduction, because in 1 hour we can't show you everything. So yeah, regarding the questions, so during Hamza's intervention, if you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A section or in the chat. If the question is not, let's say, relevant to what we are doing at that exact moment, we will keep it to the end of the event. Otherwise, we will stop Hamza and he will try to answer your questions. So thank you. And Hamza, thank you again for being with us. And the stage is yours. So if you want to start by introducing yourself, and then let's start.
Hello everyone, my name is Jouini Hamza. I'm a JavaScript developer at Karriere. Thank you, Muslim and the Social Hacker Academy for allowing me to do this. Today we are going to talk about web scraping. So what's web scraping? It's a way to steal data from web pages. So normally we have a database that connects to a backend and a backend that send the data in HTML to the browser. So how to get that data if we don't have an API directly to the database? We are going to parse that HTML page in libraries that allow us to manipulate HTML and get the data again. So there is 2 ways to do that. Using cheerio, that's a library that manipulates HTML like jQuery, and there is Puppeteer. Puppeteer is a headless browser that simulates a browser, and you can use it to manipulate the browser and get the data or make some bugs. So why we do use Puppeteer? So in web development, we have 2 types of websites. We have single page applications and universal websites. universal websites send data as HTML rendered page. So if we go to the source code of the website, you can see all the HTML with the data. But what if we are going to scrape an Angular, React, or Vue page, single page application? We are not going to see anything because the JavaScript is going to build that page, and we don't have the data on the response yet because it will fetch the data from the API. So that's why we are going to use Puppeteer, because it allows the JavaScript to be built in the browser and then get that data. We can also reverse engineer the API and get the data directly from the backend. So at first, we're going to use cheerio to scrape some data. Let me share the screen. So at first, we have the first script. We are going to require our libraries. Of course, we're going to do npm install say cheerio and Axios. We are going to use Axios to make a request to the website. Then use cheerio to parse the HTML from the web page in that library and manipulate the HTML. I already installed it, so I don't have to install it again. Also, I'm going to require cheerio and fs so we can store the data in a JSON file. So first, we are going to use a lot of asynchronous code. So we are going to make an anonymous asynchronous function that called itself at the start of the script. So I'm going to escape some posts from my dev.io. As we know, Axios let us make requests. We are going to make a GET request to the index of the dev.io. Then we have a then function with the result of that page. We're gonna finish it with catch. Let's try this code.
I think we are missing the await.
Yes. I'm going to ignore the data folder because if we are going to create a file, the Node.js library will look over and over after we create another file. So basically, we have an HTML string of the index page of dev.to. So we are going to save data from this page using cheerio. So we are going to make a variable which is the root of the cheerio parser. We are going to load the data there. Let me try to share the browser. I think you can see the whole screen now.
For now, we only see your VS Code. So maybe stop sharing and then share the whole screen.
Sorry.
It's okay. And I know that we have some of our new students relatively, and I feel you guys, like you feel all this is like Chinese. So you will get to this, but it's good to be introduced to some backend concepts. So let me just try to explain the anonymous function. So you don't see here any function declaration, and that's why it's called anonymous function. And also the fact that Hamza put the whole async. No, sorry. So I get confused. So the parentheses around the function, starting from async and then the anonymous function with the ES6 arrow function. Hamza put it between parentheses, and then it's followed by an empty parenthesis. So what does that do? It invoke the function automatically. So you don't have to write another line of code to execute your function. So this is one of the coding concepts of being dry while writing your code, is try to not to repeat yourself too much. You will get to this with the ES6 section of the course. Thank you, Hamza, and sorry for interrupting.
Thank you for clarifying that function. Now we are going to, so the main thing about scrapping is that you are going to read some kind of reverse engineer the website. So we have these stories as dev.to name them. We are going to get the title and the user and the URL of the article and the image of the user. So to do that, we are going to get the selector of this container. So we get all these containers, these divs. So to do that, we are going to do. So we are going to find the class that it's repeated in every container, and that's a crying story, I guess. We are going to declare an empty array articles. I'm going to return it before we manipulate it. So how to use cheerio? That root variable, we can find elements and get elements by doing writing some parentheses here, and we are going to tell cheerio to get all the divs with this class by writing the class name here. Let's verify that this works by doing I'm going to remove this. We have 15 elements here, and that's true, I guess. It's about 15 articles in here. So now that we have the divs, we are going to for every div, we are going to get the title, the user, the URL, and the image of the user. To do that, we have a map function. Map function, first of all, we get the index, then the element.
Sorry for interrupting. I think we have an interesting question before you move on to the map function. So Leon is asking if all needed divs to collect data have different classes, like random ones. How can I scrap the data? Example, example, eFood uses that for security, I guess. So the question is, what if the divs didn't have the same class? How would you approach that to scrap the things that you want to target?
Yes, that's not normal. It's a rare case, but that's normal. We can, like if we have a lot of divs, we are going to find some CSS or ID or something in the web page that tell us that this div is different from this div. Like data content, user ID, that's that different attributes can tell us that these containers are different. We can get all the divs by setting the selector to that name.
So technically you need to have a look on the page structure, the HTML, and check, like you need to have an overview and to target what you want. And actually I saw also, like Leon is right, you have different class names, but generally when it's the same element is repeated, like in this case we have 50 cards, you will probably have a class name that is common for all those elements, but then each one will have an additional ID or an additional class name. So most of the time that's how it is, Leo. So I hope we answered your question. Thank you, Hamza.
Even though we don't find a common class name, we can always reference the div that contain all these divs, then get the children of that div.
Yeah, so there are many approaches.
Yes, we are going. I think we are going to make a similar case in this tutorial. Now that we have our array of divs, we are going to find the title of the article by we are going to inject the element again in the root cheerio instance, and it's like limiting the scope of all the cheerio functionality to that element. For example, if I write find here, it will only find it in that element. So to find the title, we have an A element here. Sorry. Let's try to find this A element in here. Let's console this to clarify. So we have a lot of data in here, like let's see, reaction, comments, outcomes, and that's why we have a lot of data, because in this element we find a lot of A's. So we are going to limit the scope of search to that specific A. Here we have that the title have a class crime story title. Let's find this. Sorry. Now we have all the titles, because even though this element have a lot of A's, we specified this class that only have only one A in it, and that's the title. So how to get the title? To get the title, we just put call this method text, and that function return only the text, even though we can find some HTML elements in it. It will not return it. It only returns the text. But what if I want to get the link of the article? So I'm going to put this in a title variable. We are going to make a code here that push a new object in the article array. And to remove the white space, we call cheerio. Then let's load that. Now we have an array of titles of each article. Let's make a code that register this data in a file. You just call fs write file sync. We are going to create the data file, JSON file in the data folder. It's empty for now. Let's use template string to write date. And because we have the JSON data, we need to stringify it, put it in the file. Now we have a file, a JSON file that holds all the titles of the articles. So let's say we want the URL of that that article. We can add, we can specify more by adding an A, because this returns the H2 element and we want the A element, so it's like a selector. We select all the elements with this class, then we select the A element, and if we do that, we can use utter methods that return any attribute from the element, the HTML elements. Let's say we want to remove the href. Nice. We have the URLs of that article. It's a relative path, so we can add the website. So now we want the username of the user that posted that article. So let's username equal now. We get the username. We do the same. We just read the HTML code of the website. Let's say we want to get this div. So what we do is, I don't want to get the selector because the Chrome will give me a lot of text. And I guess it's in a button, so let's say button. Yeah. So what we have here, we need to specify more than that. I forgot the point. So as you ask, the buttons in here, we don't have a specified class for that button that returns the username. And we have a lot of unique IDs. We can't use the unique ID because we're gonna get we only gonna get one element, and we need all these elements. So why we get like here follow? Because there is another hidden button that's that is only visible when I hover, but it does exist in the HTML. So how can I get this one button to return the username? It's easy because I know the order of buttons in here. I'm gonna tell cheerio to get me only the first button. Now we only have the username. We're gonna trim that. And now we have our data. We have the username, the title, the URL. And we're gonna add the image of the user. Cheerio it's easy. It's like a jQuery, but in Node.js. You give it some HTML and you can manipulate the DOM. Slim, is there any question?
Yes, actually, it's not really a question. It's relative to the previous one. Leon is giving us an example of a website, and he's asking if you have to collect all information for the restaurants at a specific city, but those are not visible until you click on each restaurant and view it inside. So until you click and open the restaurant more details page, I think. So it's not a list. So what we do? Would you like to go and check this website structure and?
Yes, you can ask me.
So it's delivery.gr.
Can you write it down?
Yes, sure, in the chat. Okay. I think it's gonna redirect to eFood. It's a Greek website. I was trying to have the list, the restaurants, that Leon is talking about, but maybe because of my geolocation, it wasn't working. So let's see. So let's start by changing the language to English.
Maybe this website, as I said at first, it's a single page application. So you really don't have the data until you request it by interacting with the website. Let's say this website is created with React. Okay. React is a library that allows you to make a single page application. At least the front of the single page application. Yeah. So the data isn't there until you fetch it, until React fetch it. So if I make a request to eFood, I will get nothing in the HTML. Basically that because React is still building. So as we know, single page application send the JavaScript first when you request the index. Then the JavaScript build the UI for the UI of the website, and after some user events, it will get the data from the API in the backend. So to scrape that, we can't really use cheerio because we will get an empty page at first. So what to do then? Either we reverse engineer the API by tracking the request in the console, or use Puppeteer, which is our subject today. I guess this website didn't load.
Yeah, it didn't load for me neither. I think it's checking the geolocation and
how to know if it's a single page application. Basically, all the frameworks in the front have extensions that tell you that this website is built with Angular, it's built with React, it's built with Vue. Or you can check the source code, and if you only find some JavaScript, it's basically using a framework.
So if you are trying to scrap a single page application, cheerio is not enough. Yes. Because we are not getting the whole data when the site renders. And for these cases, we need another library, which is Puppeteer.
So do I continue with the cheerio, or do I move on with Puppeteer? Because it's basically the same. You are going to get some classes, find, get the classes, get the hash rate, the SRC of the elements, and
so maybe we move to Puppeteer also to have an introduction to this library, because we are also short on time. We still have 15 or 20 minutes to go for this event.
So I'm gonna just say, if you want also to scrape inside the article, you are going to get this URL and make another request in here, get request in here. You will get the HTML of that article. You parse it again in the cheerio, scrape the data, and you will return it to this function. This will function return the articles, and you will get the data of each article. It's basically the same. You are going to make another. You are going to make 50 requests to the Fonteo. Let's say you want to scrape the article page. We are going to do this basically. But you don't request to share give Pointeo, you request to the URL, which is this. you will get the HTML of this article, each article. You are going to parse it again in cheerio here and get the data from there. And basically, you are going to be able to parse every article of div.u in your JSON file. So let's move on to Puppeteer because we don't have enough time. So as we said, Puppeteer is a headless browser. It's mainly used for testing and automation, not for scraping. But because bots need to make decisions, it needs to scrape data and have some decisions on that data. Let's page Puppeteer wrong. We are going to define our anonymous function. We can do an just a async function, but this is the easiest way. It's a function, anonymous, asynchronous anonymous function that invokes itself at the start of the script. So we are going to make a browser variable from Puppeteer and launch. We are going to launch Puppeteer. We are going to give the option for headless false to see the browser in our screen, because if we leave it as default, we will not see the browser working. So we are going to create a browser page. New page. Let's try this script.
Maybe you should console log something.
There is no need to, you should see the browser opening.
Maybe because you didn't invoke the function.
Yes, now we see a Chromium browser opening, and we have a new page. By default, when you open the browser, there is already one page, so we're going to use that page by getting pages and using the first page. Let's say we are going to Amazon. This is the page. I guess Amazon is based on the Sigip application pages. So if we, let's see, view the source page of this website, Amazon, we are not going to find the products. There is no products in here. See, we don't have the products that we see in here. Let's say this. we do this, we are not going to find it because the product, sorry. Oh, we are, no. It's a regex, don't mind the regex. We are not going to find the product. So if we don't get the products in the HTML, we can't use cheerio. This is why we are going to use Puppeteer. As we see, we told the Puppeteer to go to Amazon Gold Box page, and this is the Amazon Gold Box page. So we are going to scrape this data from here. So to get elements from Puppeteer, we use a lot of functions. So we are going to use this dollar function, which is basically document point query selector all. As you can see, it returns all the elements in that the document in the website. As we did with cheerio, we are going to find some selectors that tell us which products we can get by doing this again, which is reversing the website. As we can see the container of all the products. Each product have some unique classes. We are going to get the selector, copy selector. Of course, if you copy the selector, it will give you a new unique selector for that div, but we want all the divs. So we are going to remove this end child one because we don't want to get only the first product. We want to get all products. So if we do log length, always forget the weights. You are going to use weight a lot with Puppeteer because every command, it goes to the Chromium core of the browser and gets back to the node. We have 16 products. So as we did with cheerio, we are going to get every product and get the title, the price, and everything. So we are going to use the normal map. So this is an element handle. An element handle is basically an HTML element, but when you reference it in Node, it will become element handle. So you can manipulate it from Node.js. So by this, we can use Puppeteer functions again on that elements, like we did with cheerio. We got the elements and we invoke the find function on the element. With Puppeteer, we can invoke eval again on the element. So we have all our containers. We are going to get the title. To get the title, we do the dollar sign with sorry, which is a query selector for, again, it doesn't return all elements, it only return one element. Like we see document or query selector. Or this is it's from query selector only. So we are going to get the title by, again, we are going to read the code of the website. We are going to try to find the title. It's in the A element. Get the selector. It's easy with Puppeteer because you can use the selectors. Like this is our first element. We're just gonna remove this because we already have the element in here. And now we have the title. Sorry, we are going to use eval because we are going to do some JS code on this element. Like dollar will return the handler, but with the $eval you can do some modification on the element in the browser before you return it to Node. So what is the modification? We are going to get the text. This function in the eval function will allow us to do some more modification. We get the element, and let's say we want in your HTML. Let's console log this. We are going to use the wait again. Let's do some stuff in here. Let's define our say data, an empty array. Or we don't have to. We don't have to. We have mapping. Let's try this code and see if it works. This is not going to work because this map will return promises. It's not a normal map. In cheerio, it's not a normal map, and in Puppeteer, it's not a normal map. They override the map to make it use promises. So we have an array of promises. What we are going to do, we're going to do promise all the Puppeteer tell me it's failed to find this element. I guess let's say the fifth A. Let me check. I guess. Yeah, yes, I was trying to invoke a val on the index because I added index. As I said, it's a modified map. It's not a normal map. The index at first is not it's the second parameter. Now we have the title. In here, we have the title with the div element. We don't need that. So we just do in here text. I guess I think I know what happened. So because we go to this page and we don't wait for the network to load. Puppeteer will invoke this function before all products are shown in the page. So we get this error, which is tell us that Puppeteer didn't find something like that. And it's right, he didn't find it because the network is still going, is still loading and the products are not shown. So we are going to add an attribute in here, option, to tell Puppeteer to wait for the network to stop. Its network IDE 2. It's basically saying when all the scripts are all loaded and all data are fetched, do that. You can continue with your work. Now we have all our titles. With Puppeteer, you will get a lot of errors because you don't mind the network. It's fast on your computer, but in another computer, it's not fast. You will get an error, you are not going to get an error. So basically what you are going to do, you are going to wait for every element. Like we said, if I do page 1 point click and I put a selector for a button there, Puppeteer will click on that button. But because there is some network issues and go on, I need to set page point wait for navigation. It's like sometimes you don't do this and Puppeteer will click on all the buttons because it doesn't wait for the network. So that's why we are going to set wait until network IDE 2 option in there. I don't know why there are 2 instances in here. So we got the title of the product. Let's say we want the image. Let's say we want for the image, sorry. As we did before, we get the selector, we get the element, the image. Equal Well, I know that there is only one image in every product, so we don't have to do this. I guess I only need to do this image. Let's test it out. I know that when I look at Amazon, there is only one image in here. So let's get the image tag. And to get the SRC, we get the element which is the image function, and we tell puppeteer, we tell the JavaScript and the browser to return the SRC or the image. And let's say, let's test this out. Yes, we have the image for the products in here. Yes. Basically, it's all the same. We are going to get, let's say, for example, the description in here. It's not a description, it's with the same title. Let's say the deal. Do you have any questions about Puppeteer?
Not about Puppeteer specifically, but I would like to give a small explanation about what is Puppeteer. So Puppeteer is a JavaScript library. It acts like a bot that allows you to interact with a website or a web page without going with the user, with the graphical interface and access the website and so on. You can do everything you can do on the browser from Node, from the terminal. So, and I'm putting the link to the Puppeteer library in the chat. So if you want to go and check all the methods that Hamza was using, because you need to read the documentation in order to understand also how to use it. Watching this tutorial, it won't be enough.
Yes. Puppeteer has a lot of methods and classes. It's you can emulate iPhones, you can emulate, you can take screenshots. It's basically it's a basic browser. You can just from a tutorial understand it all. You need to read the documentation.
Actually, we are using Puppeteer, but this is a secret. We are using Puppeteer for the attendance of the sessions, so it's automated. So let's say when a session is done, we use Puppeteer to check who are the people that attended the Zoom meeting, and then we store that in our database, let's say, and we are using Puppeteer to do that. So if you can also share the link for cheerio, please, Hamza, in the chat. And we have two questions in the Q&A. The first one is from Leon. Leon, thank you very much for all your questions today. So here it's more about the legal aspect. So do we have a legal problem if we make too many requests to web pages? Well, I don't think so. And normally,
I can answer that.
Okay, cool.
It's we don't have a legal problem because anything is public on the internet. You can't really get the legal problem about this, because if the website owner did publish the product for this or for the page, it's public, you can use it, but you will get a problem when you deal with the media, like books, videos, something like that. But for text and products, you will not get problems. Also, Leon, we said earlier that your food website need to click on details. You can do that with Puppeteer. You can, as we did here, mark every element and tell Puppeteer to click on the element A to get some details. When the details is shown in the browser, you can scrap the data using eval. So let's say Amazon had some detail button. We just say in here page 1 click, and we set the selector of that button in here. When Puppeteer click on that, it will the detail page will be shown. The detail page will be the detail section will be shown, and you can scrap the data from there with if. Thank you.
So thank you, Hamza. So it's like you are using your browser and clicking, and you are getting the data in another format, not a visual format, but a JSON format. And so you don't need to take a permission to do that. The third question, are they going to have a problem on their servers with us doing it? I don't think so, because they are handling their the requests. So a couple of requests won't harm. And it's not like a DDoS attack. So you are not targeting the website to bring it down. So you are using some tools to get some data faster from the website. You want to say something
on that?
Yep. Yes, please.
It's not a legal problem that that the website owners always do some bot prevention algorithms. Like let's say, no, not for scrapping, but for bots. Let's say you clicked on the element without moving the mouse. If the website detects that, it will ban you. Like you clicked on elements without moving the mouse, but with Puppeteer you can move the mouse on the page like normal users do. Also, you can get request limitation by that on the server of the websites, like Cloudflare, I guess, will ban you if you have too many requests, but you can solve that problem using proxy. Thank you.
Thank you, Hans. And
this
then
is not a legal advice.
Yeah, and you can, as we always say, like you can check more in details, like the same question you asked, you can Google them and you will have like more detailed information and so on. Regarding your last question, are we going to get rejected if they have course? So course is about the origin of the request. It's not about the library or anything else.
I don't get. I don't understand the first part.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I just answered. So the course is like when you have a website, you can set from where you can get requests. So
if you are using Puppeteer, you will not get course because the browser already in the same origin of the website. So you don't get course. And if you are using cheerio, you are requesting from a server, basically, not a front, so you're not able to get course again. Course only works if the browser makes a request to a server. In cheerio, we are not using browser, we are making a request to a server from server to server. It's server to server on our machine. And for the Puppeteer part, the website exists in the same origin, so we are not going to get some course problem.
Nikos is asking when to use Puppeteer versus cheerio. So as we saw at the beginning, when we were using cheerio, we could scrap universal website, but we couldn't get more data when we was trying to scrap a single page application. So Puppeteer will help us get the data that we couldn't use get by using only cheerio.
I'm going to add on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of heavy in to use Puppeteer because it's slow. It's slow compared to cheerio because you are going to simulate a browser. You have to have enough RAM in your server to do that. It's easier to reverse the API, reverse engineer the API of Amazon, for example, from the console. But if we have some bots that do some stuff on the website and need to have some data for to make some decision based on the scrapped data, you need to use Puppeteer. Puppeteer is mainly for bots, not for scraping, but bots also scrape data. And also, the websites can change their API, but the front is still the same. So if you reverse engineer the API, it will probably change and you will have maintenance issue.
Thank you, Hamza. So thank you, Nikos, for your question. Alexandros just wanted to say thank you to both of you guys. Really helpful and enlightening stuff. Thank you, Alexandros. Thank you all for being here today. I think we are running out of time. Hamza, it was a really nice introduction to web scraping using Node. Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And thank you.
I hope I do more of this in the future.
We can make some other events. Yes, we can definitely discuss about this for our future events. Thank you everyone for joining us today. The recording of the event will be uploaded tomorrow to our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch it or share it or whatever, so you know where to find it. If you are one of our students and you still didn't reach the backend part, don't get frustrated with the with the gibberish you was seeing. You will get to it, and maybe once you will reach the backend part, or maybe while you are working on your project and would like to use a technology like this, you can come back to this recording and see how to take the most out of it. So thank you everyone. Have a lovely evening and see you in the next event. Thank you. Bye-bye.